What's up, guys? Welcome back to Tranceportal in the studio with me, EverLight. So today, this is going to be a episode all about one of the fundamentals of trance music, that is the bass line. We're going to be talking specifically about how to create a 16th rolling bass line, which is one of the most common types of bass lines found in modern driving trance music. I'm going to go over the synthesizer that I use, the settings that I use to get a really nice, clean sounding bass line for your productions. Guys, welcome to the studio. Let's get stuck in. So guys, here we are in the studio. I have Ableton open here. I've gone ahead and created a super quick kick, which sounds like this. Nice and simple, takes about 2 minutes to do. So how we're going to make this 16th rolling bass line is using one of my all-time favorite synthesizers, Serum. Now, I love Serum for lots of reasons. It's a super popular synth with good reason. So it's probably the most powerful synth that I have here. I have an Access Virus, I have a Mini Nova, I have Massive, Spire, etc. And it beats all of them. I use this synth for approximately 90% of the sounds in the music that I make myself. Now, the reason I love it is because it's super easy to use. If you know a way around a synthesizer, you immediately know where everything is. It is mega powerful. It's got some wicked crazy features in it, and it's really affordable. You can get this for like £10 a month on a rent to own scheme. But one of the reasons why I use it for bass lines is because it has really nice sounding filters. So a filter is super important for a great bass line. It needs to be clean, it needs to be snappy, because a good filter is what's going to give your bass line that punch. And with a 16th rolling bass line, that's what you want. You want it to smack you with every single note. We're going to build this bass line from scratch. Sub bass lines are actually really easy to make. A lot of people overcomplicate them. They do not need to be complex at all. First thing we need to do is we need to set up the oscillators to the waves for form that we want to use. I use a sawtooth wave and a square wave for mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load those up. This is a square wave and this is a sawtooth wave. The sawtooth wave has got a nice bite, it's like a buzzy sound to it, whereas a square wave has got more of a body to it. So the square wave gives it more weight, and the sawtooth waves gives it a bit of crunch. So using both of those sounds together and putting them through the filter, we can create something that's got lots of body and lots of bite. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create your pattern. So you go into the channel and then you insert a new MIDI clip. You bring up the piano roll here. Now we're going to be creating this bass line in the key of A sharp, which is this one. Now the key with a 16th rolling bass line is that it's on every 16th note. So you want to right click on the piano roll and go to 16th. And this will show you all the 16th notes within there. Now when you draw it in, it'll look like that, right? So you go bum, 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 bum. Right. Now, the key to a 16th rolling trance bass line is that the beginning note for every beat, so bop, 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 doesn't have a note on it. And the reason for that is because the kick wants to come through on that note. So it goes kick and then 3 bass line notes, kick and then 3 bass line notes. So it will look something like this. I'm just going to delete that. There you go. So every beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, you've got a missing kick. You've got a missing note for the kick drum to come through. So now that we've got the basic waveforms in Serum and we've got the pattern, I'm going to play it and show you what it sounds like. At the moment, it sounds terrible. Now, the reason it sounds terrible is because we've not set up the filters and we've not set up the volume and stuff like that. So now that's what we're going to do. To set up the filter, the first thing you want to do is you want to click it and you want to go to 24. Now, the low pass 24 filter gives it more punch and more bite. You're also going to want to turn it on if it's not already on, and then you need to make sure that it is filtering both oscillator A and oscillator B. So I'm going to play this now with the filter on, and I'm just going to move the filter up and down so that you can see how it affects the sound. So you can hear that it's making it sound brighter, it's making it sound duller. You want every single note to have the cutoff filter go turn down like that. Every single note, it goes bum, bum, bum as it goes. That's going to give it that bite. Now, to set that up, you need to automate that turning of that knob like that. And the best way to do that is to use an envelope. That's these things down here. Grab envelope 2. You can drag it by clicking on these arrows, and then you want to drop it onto the cutoff. When it's dropped onto the cutoff, you will see this light blue semicircle appear. If you don't see this semicircle, it might just be because it's not very big. So what you need to do is make sure that the cutoff is turned to the middle there, and then you'll see this appear. You can click it and drag it up and down, and you can make it larger or smaller. You want it to be about like that. So you want the cutoff in the middle, and then you want the semicircle somewhere near to the top. Now, what we need to do now is we need to set up the decay on the filter. So the decay is how quickly the knob turns. So first thing to do is you go to the sustain, you turn that all the way down, and then you can start to see this curve is now appeared. Now, what the envelope does is, you see how this knob has got this blue semicircle on it? Right, well what that is that's the area in which the knob will move when the envelope is affecting it. So you see this top point here? That corresponds to the top of the semicircle, and this bottom point corresponds to the bottom of the semicircle. Now, every time you press a note, that envelope will go from the top, and it will turn the knob down to the bottom like that. So what I'll do is I'll press a note on the keyboard, and you can see in Serum how it affects, what it does. You can see a blue little dot appearing here, and you can also see a blue little line appearing here. And it's turning the knob when I press the key. Now, to get that sounding nice and bitey and quick, what you need to do is you need to play with the decay time. So all you need to do is turn the decay time down, so that every time you play a note, it's super punchy. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to slowly turn this decay knob down while I'm playing the sound to show you how it affects it. And now we've got that sounding nice and punchy. So now that we've got that kind of wet sounding punchiness to it, we can modify the sound a little bit further to get it sounding nice and clean. One of the things that you can do is you can turn down the resonance, because it's up a little bit by default. And you can also turn down the amount that the knob is being turned by with this semicircle. So you click this and drag it down. If you turn it down a little bit, that's going to clean it up and make it sound more rumbly. I'm going to go ahead and play it with the kick, and there's going to be a few things that we need to do to get it sounding nice and clean against that kick. So the first thing we actually need to do is we need to turn the bass line down so that the kick punches through a bit more. And the other thing that we need to do is we need to add a little bit of sidechain compression, so that what sidechain compression does is it lowers the volume of the bass when the kick plays, and then brings the volume of the bass back up. And that's how you get that punchy, pulsing sounding sound within your bass line. So that's really easy to do in Ableton. We take a compressor, and then what we do is we drag and drop the compressor onto the bass line at the end. We now need to click this little button to expand out the options, enable the sidechain, and then the audio input needs to come from the kick channel. Now we need to edit the threshold of the sound of the compressor, maybe put it down until you can start to see the gain reduction here doing its thing when the kick drum plays. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to play with the settings to show you. That's sitting about where I want it to sit. Now that sound can be improved for that bass line, and what we can do now to improve it is we can open up Serum, and we can play between each oscillator sound that we've got in there to make it sound beefier, or to make it sound more bitey. So what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to listen to it now. I'm going to turn up the square. You see how when I turn the square up, it gives it more body, and when I turn it down, it gives it more bite. That's all there is to making a rolling 16th sub bass. It's really, really essential that you get that filter and that sound sounding right. It forms the basis of your track, and it was going to, if you get it right, it will give your production loads and loads of energy. Guys, this has been Tranceportal in the studio with me, EverLight. Make sure that you like and subscribe to Tranceportal YouTube channel. Check out all of our socials. Guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you again next time.